Welcome in. It is day 259, and you're speaking to the Meeples Champion. And today, we're going to be going over a sci-fi style game. This is a game I just played for the first time the other night. I was not sure I was going to enjoy it, but I actually had quite a good time. The game is called Among the Stars. Now, the concept of the game is that you're all going to start with a group of 6 cards, and you're going to be told you're going through 4 years. You're going to be doing this in a draft style. So when it's your turn, you're going to pick one of the cards, and either you're going to spend the money if you have it to make the card, you're going to give the card up for 3 money, or you're going to sacrifice the card to be allowed to spend 1 money to make a generator. You all start with a generator of your own color. It comes with 2 cubes in it. Now, you're slowly building out a ship. So as you progress through the game, you're going to be building off of the different directions from here. Now, some cards cost money. Other ones will cost money but might require some power, which means you have to be within 2 spaces of the generator so that the power can get to you. And then you give up the cube in order to make it. You have 6 different styles of rooms you can be making. So you could have war rooms. You could be having the more of the like science rooms. You could be having rooms that are more about entertainment. You're going to be using these different cards that score either immediate points or score end of game points. And you're going to be trying to come up with a system as to how they're going to score so that when you get to the end of the entire game, hopefully you have the most points. You're going to have common objectives in the center. Some will be first person to do it gets it, or some of them might be whoever has the most of something gets it, whereas others will be everybody has a chance to get it. So you might find that one says first person to 50 points will get another 4 points. Another one might say at the end of the game, whoever has the most of the yellow rooms gets 4 points. Whereas another might say, if you have at least 8 yellow rooms, you get 4 points, and everybody else can as well. So there's a lot of these for the common objectives. You also will have a deck of 6 cards that you shuffle up, and these will give you an objective for the round. Now, this has a positive and a negative effect. The positive is, it'll say, for instance, if you have the most red rooms, you get 4 points. However, if you don't, and you have the fewest red rooms, you lose 2 points. Now, the way these work is, it's tiebreakers count as the lead and the back end. Meaning, if you are tied for the most red rooms, you'll get the 4 points. But if you're tied for the fewest, you'll get the negative 2. If by chance somehow you manage to pull off being tied for the most and the fewest, aka everybody has 0, or 1, or 2, then you'll end up basically coming out as a positive 2. So you play through this game, you get your 6 cards slowly going around. When you're done, you go to the next round, you get 6 new cards, 6 again, 6 again. After you've done a total of 24 cards, you're finished. Everybody has their unique ships. You figure out what points you're adding to it. You figure out what points your money that you have left over might be worth, and then you see who wins. Well, that's how the game works generally, but why don't we jump in, judge this on our 7 categories, and see where this game lands for us. When it comes to the art, I don't mind the box, but I do think that sci-fi it's a hard sell. Part of the reason I tend to be drawn to more of a medieval or a fantasy style game is because their boxes tend to be a lot more attractive. I think that a sci-fi box may individually stand out, but once you start putting it next to other sci-fi boxes, they all just they're dark, and it's not easy to stand out. This one for me isn't a massively attractive game. When you set it up as a board, sure, maybe it hits like a 3, but as far as a box goes, it's more like a 2. I don't think it's horrible art, but it's just not good enough art for me. Thumbs down. Quality of pieces. When it comes to those components, I think that your cards are good stock. I think that your pieces for the board moving around are good cardboard. And I like the little pieces you have to represent your power. They're these nice little plastic pieces. I think it's all generally good. Thumbs up. Your price. The game isn't extremely available. It's not rare. It's not something that you're not going to find, but it's not something that's in every store. You might find it in 1 of every 5 board game stores. It's not to that level of popularity. You'll find it online though. And it's not cheap. You're not going to have to pay a load for this, but you're probably looking at that somewhere from 40. I think it depends on time of year. A game like this, because it's not as popular, means that its price can kind of wave a little bit more. You might find when you're starting to get towards Christmas, this game kind of drops down to that 40 range, and when you're coming out of the Christmas time, it starts to rise back up towards 50, 60 because it's a little harder to find. So I think that this game is one that, if you judge it on the high and the low of that, is it worth it? It's an okay game, but I think other games do what it does to the point where, to me, I don't want to pay even 40 for this game. Maybe 30 I'd consider this to be acceptable, but for me, it's just a little bit too much. Thumbs down. Your difficulty. It's not extremely difficult. I think that this game will be fine for a beginner, and it'll be okay for an experienced player. I think experts are out because I think that this game is just a little bit too... It's a little bit too in its own way. It's so many rules for that base game that it's hard to follow sometimes a true strategy that's going to get you the win. Sometimes it feels a little bit too random with the scoring moments for the individual years. Those scorings feel like they're too randomized. Whereas the ending scoring, you've got a general goal, what you're going for, but everybody's going for that. There's not really an individual goal that you can truly target that's your own, that's not the randomized that are per the seasons. So for me, I just feel like you're losing your experts. That's also kind of losing your kids because it's hard to follow for them. So you get your beginners and you get your experienced. I don't think that they're out. I just think that this isn't going to be one that's going to grab their attention for many truly getting involved in the game. I think it's fun, but it's not fun that you're going to constantly go back to. And it's one that might lose some players by game 2 or 3. So I haven't gotten around to the point where I feel like I'm done with it, but I'm definitely at the point where I don't feel like I need to go back to it. So for me, thumbs down. Your replayability. I was just going over it. I mean, what are you supposed to do? You're not going to play this game when it comes to a kid or an experienced or expert very often. You're experienced and your beginners, though, I feel like you're going to lose them after a few plays. That's all your replayability right there. It's got to be a thumbs down. Your keys to victory. So there are keys. You have the scoring if you want to target what the special card is that comes out for the round, trying to win that. You get the scoring for your objectives at the end. You've got the scoring for just simply getting a first round basis of what you're aiming for and then targeting to continue that, or just going with best case scenario of highest points per card you get every time that something comes to your hand. There's definitely ways to do it. I don't generally love the whole setup, but I'm not against it. I think that the keys to victory are there. It's up to you to figure out how to utilize them, so thumbs up. Unique. Is the game unique? I'm not a big fan of this game I'm going to compare it to, so it definitely doesn't help it much. But in ways, this is kind of comparable to Roll for the Galaxy or Race for the Galaxy. I think that it's got the similarity to the different cards, the way that they match up together. And there are other games like this as well. Those are not two of my favorite games. It's why I haven't reviewed them yet because I haven't played them in years. They just never really struck well for me. And this one is another one that I liked it more than them for first play, but I don't see it being played very often down the line because it kind of reminds me of them and it's the same system and I'm not a huge fan of that system. So for me, thumbs down. It's not unique. Overall, what do I think? It's a fine game. It's totally worth a try. Don't be afraid to put this out. So what do I think? It's a fine game. Give it a try. Don't be afraid to give this one a shot. Put it on your table, see if you like it. But I wouldn't run out and buy it. Try it first. Try it a second time. Try it a third time. If you're still interested in playing and if you still have friends who want to play with you, go buy it. But just give it enough tries before you do it because I'm afraid somebody might play this and get really excited after one play. Maybe even after two, get it to their shelf and then not play it ever. Because it just, to me, strikes me as a game that is fun, but not going to be a dominant game in a collection. Well, it has been day 259, and we've been speaking about the game Among the Stars. And you've been speaking to the Meeples Champion. Like, share, subscribe, and check down below in the description. I'll be adding an Amazon link in case you want to get this game for your collection. Until next time, I'll talk to you tomorrow.